A couple weeks back, I picked up a Sega Dreamcast and went through the process of purchasing, cleaning, testing, and playing it for the very first time. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. I'll still be here when you get back. While there were some issues like the console needing a cleaning, the controller was a third-party one that the store didn't feel the need to clean, no VMU so I couldn't save any progress in games, and a little trial and error to start up Sonic Adventure. Wow, that's actually a lot looking back at it. Anyway, after dealing with all that, once I started playing Sonic, I had a great time and was just happy to have a Dreamcast of my very own. Plus, a good amount of these issues were handled with over time. The console looks better after a quick touch-up, the store gave me a real Dreamcast controller once I went back with the faulty one, and I bought a VMU off eBay for only $30. Now I can save my games and take a chow with me wherever I go. Plus it has a little bunny profile pic. Things turned out well in the end, plus the support from the video was simply crazy. So many of you recommended games for me to play, others provided advice for the system regarding hardware, getting games, and how to go about recording for videos. However, my favorite comments were the ones where people shared stories of getting their Dreamcast, playing it with family, and why this little white box meant so much to them. All these years later, the Dreamcast is still something special for so many people around the world. There were a couple people mentioning that the amount I spent on the console was higher compared to some listings found online. Yeah, I spent more on the console than I probably should have. But hey, it is what it is. Around the time when I was almost done with the first video, I did go out to buy more games for the console, grabbing Crazy Taxi and Daytona USA to join Sonic Adventure in my collection. I heard of Crazy Taxi, so that was a no-brainer to grab. Daytona USA, however, I did play before. The arcade version, actually. Growing up, my family would take a trip to the beach, and the hotel we stayed at had an arcade, and they rotate games out every year. One year they had Daytona USA, and I couldn't stop playing it. I wasn't very good at it, but it was too much fun to stop. Also, another year, the hotel had the Simpsons arcade game, and my grandfather gave me and my siblings $20. Beating the entire game in one sitting is something I'll never forget. With these two games bought, the collection is slowly growing. All is good, right? Well, I mentioned previously how the system took a few attempts to start up Sonic Adventure, and while I didn't think it was that big of an issue at the time, I would soon learn that wouldn't be the case. While the discs may be in good condition, if the system can't properly read them, then problems will start to arise. All revolving around the disk drive. From what I've seen online, the laser on the disk drive is somewhat notorious. With it wearing out over time, it becomes hard or even impossible for the system to read any disc. Once Sonic Adventure started up, I didn't see any issues with the console, so it didn't seem that bad. But once I tried Crazy Taxi, that's where the problems really showed up. When playing, there was some slowdown, but I saw this as the Dreamcast being an old console and just accepted it. But when things got a little too crazy, I'd flat out be shown a message saying to check the disc for scratches. Which wasn't the case because the disc was in a good condition. Okay, Crazy Taxi isn't working well. What about Daytona? Luckily, Daytona played perfectly. No issues starting up or any hiccups when racing. Can't say much about my driving skills, but that's something else. With the 3 games I have, it's safe to assume that the issues with reading games is a case-by-case basis. Some work great, some have hiccups, others will eventually crash and burn. I made sure to check each disc before and after using them to ensure that nothing is damaging the disc when it's in use. Plus, I took each disc to a local retro game store to have them all cleaned to see if there's any improvements there. One cleaning later, and there wasn't any changes with any of the games, only confirming that the disc drive is on its way out. My plan originally was to simply use the Dreamcast as is, and in the future, when I could, replace the disc drive. That all changed with Sonic Adventure 2. The one game I wanted to play the most on this system gave me so much of a headache that I realized that leaving things as is wasn't gonna work out at all. After dropping $170 for a tested working copy of the game, I got it in the mail and went straight to playing it. And it froze when I left the Chow Garden. Starting the game back up, I watched the opening to City Escape again, and this time it froze after Sonic jumped out of the helicopter. Okay, third try. It booted up the Sega logo. Back to the Dreamcast menu. Logo, menu, logo, menu, logo, menu, logo, menu, logo, menu. You get the point. Last try. This time I started up Eggman stage, and the audio was so ear-piercing. I think the elevator sound effect got stuck in a loop or something and slowly got distorted. I couldn't even explain it if I wanted to, except for the fact I couldn't even hear the stage music anymore. Oh, and when I tried to back out of the stage, I got stuck on a black screen. I tried so hard to fix this issue, but this was just the final nail in the coffin. The drive needed to go. Luckily, this is where you guys come in. So many people provided advice when it came to fixing issues with the Dreamcast. One option that came up was adjusting the power to the laser. But the owner of the retro shop I went to clean the disc recommended I shouldn't, as that will only wear out the laser more and it wouldn't fix the issue in the long run. Option 2. Burn CDs. It's very well known that the Dreamcast could read burnt discs, so I could take the games I have and burn them onto blanks to play them. As long as you have a Model 0 or 1 Dreamcast, you could do this. This could be a good solution, plus it'll keep the original games in good condition since they'll stay nicely in their cases. But I decided not to go this route, only because a new disk drive is really just a drive ripped from another Dreamcast. So who knows when that'll die on me. Not to mention the Dreamcast has different disk drive models, so you have to open up the console, see who made yours, then go from there searching online for the same one. Okay, I didn't open door number 1, nor door number 2. So what's behind door number 3? A lot of you recommended this one. The GDEMU, an optical drive that allows users to use an SD card to play games, removing the worry of a faulty disk drive. I wasn't too keen on using this, as I really prefer using the real physical media, the sound of the system reading the disc, hearing the laser move around. When I play on these old consoles, I want to play with the hardware as it was originally. But as I learn more and more about the challenges of keeping this system functional, this seems like the best option available to have my Dreamcast continue playing games. No, I don't endorse software piracy. If you use a GDEMU, please use the device in a lawful manner. Thank you. After looking online, I ordered a GDEMU and waited for it to arrive in the mail. In the meantime, I got myself an SD card and transferred my 4 Dreamcast games to it. A week later, my order arrived in the mail, and now it was time to conduct the operation. Now, installing a GDEMU is pretty simple. If I can do this, so can you. First things first, you'll need to take out the 4 screws found underneath the Dreamcast. Using a Phillips head screwdriver, you can take these out. Just know one is covered by the modem, so you'll need to remove that to take out that screw. With all 4 screws removed, I flipped the console over and took the top off to see the inside of the console itself. Yeah, it was a little dusty in there, but other than that, everything looked good. So I dusted around the parts while I was in there and moved on to the disk drive. I can see that my disk drive is a Samsung model, so hey, if I ever want to go back to using a disk drive, I could by just looking for this drive model. Plus, the GDEMU is so easy to insert and remove that I could swap both of them out at any time. The disk drive is held by 3 screws, so after removing those, I could safely remove the disk drive from the console. I was pretty worried about touching the interior of the system, because I've never done something like this before, but it was easy to do as the drive literally plopped right out. With the disk drive removed, it's time to put together the GDEMU and insert it into the Dreamcast. Connecting the tray to the board via an SD card ribbon is simple, and additional screws ensures that parts don't move around. Once all set, simply insert it into the slot the disk drive connected to, and use the same screws from the drive to lock it into the console. With that, the disk drive is now completely replaced. But while I was here, I did take a moment to look at the power supply. I've seen some posts online saying that the power supply could cause issue with games, so I took that out to see if there is anything I could visually see that could be an issue. And it seemed okay. I don't know anything about circuit boards, but I didn't notice anything odd when comparing it to photos online. I took a look at the prongs connecting the power supply to the console. They looked pretty clean, but just to be safe, I did a little extra cleaning just in case. Putting that back in, the last thing I checked was the fan. Some posts online mentioned that a replacement fan would be beneficial since the GDEMU heats up and the current fan may not be as good as it used to be, causing the system to get too warm during long sessions. Not to mention we have to consider the new open space within the console now that the disk drive is removed. Besides cleaning it, I don't have anything to replace the current fan, but I'll keep an eye on it for now to see how it holds up. If I really wanted to, I could replace the battery that the console uses for the clock, but that's not a big issue at the moment. Maybe in the future I'll have a friend help me out with it, but for now, let's put everything back together and try this console out. Screwing everything back together, opening up the top of the console, you'll see the slot for the SD card. After downloading the GDEMU menu online and placing your own Dreamcast games onto the card, insert it into the Dreamcast and you should be good to go. Alright, moment of truth. Does this fix my issues? Well, only one way to find out. Who's ready for City Escape?
Attention all units. Suspect seen heading south. Block all major roads and capture the suspect.
Okay, looking good so far. I'm able to load into Sonic Adventure 2 good, load times into City Escape are quick with no signs of slowdown, but what I really need to see to be sure it works is leaving that Chow Garden. Oh, thank God. Yep, I'm able to enter the first boss fight no problem, and the game doesn't have any issues. But I'm still not 100% confident just yet. I need to check Eggman too.
Intruder alert. Assume level 1 defense formation.
Eggman's stage looks good too. I can hear the music well, no issues with the sound effects, gameplay is good. I think it's safe to say that I can finally play the Sonic game I spent $170 on. I should probably reconsider my financial decisions. With Sonic Adventure 2 passing the test, I went to check on Sonic Adventure 1, Crazy Taxi, and Daytona USA to see if they're working well too. Sonic Adventure 1 starts up no problem now, and plays just as good as before. And Daytona passes with flying colors as well, with no issues to report. Still bad at it though. Okay, anyway, what about Crazy Taxi? Well, I'm happy to report that Crazy Taxi has no more errors when playing. There is some slowdown in rare cases, but nothing that ruins my session. While playing through each game, I did check the heat coming from the console, and while it did warm up, I didn't notice anything concerning like a bad smell coming from the system, which was something I'd seen some people mention online. The fan also sounds good, so I'll be alright for now until I decide to buy a new one. I gotta say, I didn't expect this much work when I originally bought this Dreamcast. Ignoring the fact that it's an old console, the store I bought it from are not the best when it comes to reviewing the consoles they buy from people. My guess is they plugged it in, saw it boot up, and whatever game they tested it with got to the main menu and called it a day. Hell, maybe they didn't even test it with a game. I'll definitely not go there for retro games or systems again. The local shop I went to get the CDs clean is where I normally go to buy my games, both modern and retro. The only reason I didn't go there for the Dreamcast is because they never have one in stock. And when I ask how often they do get one in, they say it's rare, and even when they do, they have to repair them. Yeah, I see what they mean now. Side note, when this store sells retro consoles, they open them up and check everything before selling them. I see them on the counter whenever I go to pick up a game. Not to mention, once they're for sale, they're plastic wrapped to keep them in a good condition. Last time I went, they had a box Sega Saturn for sale. Hey, maybe I should get that next. In the end, problems aside, I'm just happy to get the system working again. Now I can continue growing my collection with such great titles like Sonic Shuffle and Seaman. By the way, I saw Seaman at that retro store. I want it. I don't care how much it costs. I want my very own Fishman. If you ever had an issue with a console, whether old or new, leave your story in the comments below. And if you didn't already in the previous video, leave some game recommendations. You guys mentioned so many games last time, like Choo Choo Rocket, Rayman 2, Sonic Shuffle, Shenmue, Skies of Arcadia, Resident Evil, Tony Hawk, Jet Set Radio, Space Channel 5, Power Stone, and so many more that clearly I have a lot of games to grab. I just want to say thank you all so much for the support with that first Dreamcast video. It was great to see so many people enjoying the video and sharing their stories with the console. I hope to do more videos for this little white box and experiencing these games for the very first time. And hey, Sega's bringing back some of these franchises, so good time to experience the original games before the new ones release. Thanks again everyone, and I'll see you all later. Oh yeah, leave a like if you want me to force my friends to play Sonic Shuffle for a video. Okay, bye.